The government brushes off option to rebuild the Tai Po fire site for housing. Finance chief says Hong Kong's operating account may get out of the red quicker than expected. And public anger grows in the U.S. as new video of the fatal shooting in Minnesota emerges. Good evening, you're watching Cable News. I'm Cheryl Yun. As authorities started consulting Tai Po fire victims on long-term rehousing, the government has ruled out restoring the fire-hit Wang Fuk Court for residential use for now. It also expected that public funds would be used for a total buyout of the estate's property rights, which is estimated to cost $6 billion. Jamie Liu reports.
Reconstruction on the same site, which may take up to 10 years, is one of the rehousing locations floated in a government survey. But speaking on a radio program today, Deputy Financial Secretary Michael Wong, leader of the task force on offering emergency accommodation for the affected residents, called the option not really practical at the moment. For the Wang Fuk Court site, the government's current idea is not to redevelop it for housing. Everyone understands this, Wong said. He expected the place to be used for community facilities instead and stressed that no one will earn big money from it in the future. When asked about the estimated prices to buy back property rights from affected owners, Wong stressed the estimations were for reference only and not final. The secretary said the preliminary cost for a total buyout would be close to $6 billion, greater than the $2 billion currently left in the support fund, meaning the government is likely to use public money in the acquisition, a special of the special case to be discussed by the legislature in public. Meanwhile, on the same program, Deputy Chief Secretary Warner Church expressed openness in extending rental subsidy for displaced residents beyond 2 years as they await long-term resettlement. Jamie Liu, Cable News.
Financial Secretary Paul Chan said Hong Kong's economy is experiencing steady growth, pledging that the upcoming budget will deliver achievements in both quantity and quality. He added that the city may return to an operating account surplus earlier than expected. Public consultation for the 2026-27 budget is now underway. Speaking on a radio program where he interacted with the public, Chan said Hong Kong's economy has achieved stable growth of 3.2% this year, despite ongoing global geopolitical uncertainties. He expressed hope that the forthcoming budget would bring improvements in both quality and quantity, creating better job opportunities and developing new, ever-growing economic engines to support different sectors of society. Chan also addressed public questions comparing local policies and measures with those of Singapore, with some urging the government to streamline support for the city's small and medium-sized enterprises. Hong Kong and Singapore have always learned from each other, Chan replied. We must not sell ourselves short. We also have areas that Singapore envies, such as the development of our financial market. Others raised concerns about the potential role of cryptocurrency in Hong Kong, which Chan admitted to having reservations about the risks involved. While acknowledging that the government welcomes the future potential of crypto, he stressed the need to strike a careful balance through close monitoring and regulation. The financial secretary also touched on government finances and public welfare, noting that the city could achieve an operating account surplus sooner than expected. Owing to the performance of our financial markets, we saw an increase in stamp duty income, Chan explained, while acknowledging that the consolidated accounts could still face a deficit burden due to ongoing infrastructure development costs. Nevertheless, Chan emphasized that the government has not reduced spending on medical services, social welfare, or education. With an aging population in mind, he stressed the importance of targeted, precise measures to address the challenges ahead, including the principle of co-payment by those who can afford it to ensure the sustainability of public services. Secretary for Development Bernadette Lin said the government-owned HOYIBC Industry Park Company has strong potential to turn the area into a versatile, multi-purpose industrial park within the northern metropolis. Bess Leung reports.
The government has already established a statutory company tasking it with developing and operating the new industrial park in HOYIBC, a key project area of the northern metropolis. Speaking on the radio program, Lin expressed strong confidence that the park would be able to attract a wide variety of industries. She noted that the development will include supporting facilities tailored for modern industrial operations, as well as talent accommodation to help draw and retain skilled professionals. Lin emphasized the government's active oversight of the company, noting that board members will be nominated by the government, and the company will be required to submit annual reports and face scrutiny from the Legislative Council. She added that the government plans to begin recruiting the chief executive officer this month. The ideal candidate should have proven experience in founding and managing companies or businesses, together with a strong understanding of global industry trends, particularly those relevant to Hong Kong and the Greater Bay Area, she said. The development chief said she hopes the company can officially commence operations by mid-year. Bess Leung, Cable News.
Customs officers have busted a suspected illicit cigarette storage facility, confiscating $590,000 worth of suspected contraband cigarettes and arresting a 42-year-old woman. The woman was later hooded, handcuffed and escorted into a police vehicle by customs officers for further investigation. Enforcement officers intercepted a suspicious person outside a mini storage unit in a Taiwan industrial building on Friday night and recovered about 130,000 duty not paid cigarettes inside the unit. The estimated duty potential was about $440,000. The authority believes the haul was intended for the Taiwan retail market and is now tracing the upstream supply source and distribution network, not ruling out further arrests. The department reiterates that the sale or purchase of illicit cigarettes is a criminal offense and offenders are liable on conviction to fines and time behind bars. Tensions are rising in the United States over the fatal shooting of a woman in Minnesota by a federal immigration officer after a new video has emerged showing her final moments from the point of view of the agent who opened fire. Jamie Liu reports.
The 47-second video was released by Minnesota conservative outlet Alpha News. It shows the agent walking towards 37-year-old Renee Good's maroon SUV in the middle of the road, and she's seen with her window down.
That's fine, dude. I'm not mad, boy.
As the camera rounds the car and reaches the front side of the vehicle, other officers demand Good to get out. She reverses briefly, drives ahead before gunshots are heard. The video was reportedly filmed by Immigration and Customs Enforcement agent Jonathan Ross. It does not show if the SUV made contact with Ross, but an earlier video shot by a bystander shows the agent remained standing and able to walk after opening fire. Sharing the video on social media, U.S. Vice President J.D. Vance said the new video backs their argument that the officer fired in self-defense. According to Minnesota state officials, federal investigators initially agreed to jointly look into the shooting, but later took sole control of the probe. U.S. President Donald Trump justified the decision by blaming Minnesota state and local agencies as corrupt people. The local attorney said her office would handle the case whether or not a federal agent was involved and urged the public to provide evidence. Fresh protests took place in downtown Minneapolis to denounce the forceful enforcement by ICE. Jamie Liu, Cable News.
United States President Donald Trump has asked for at least $100 billion in oil industry spending for Venezuela, but received a lukewarm response at the White House as one executive warned the South American country was currently uninvestable. Bess Leung has more.
Trump hosted bosses from 17 oil firms at the White House, luring them to pour at least $100 billion into Venezuela's oil industry, while stressing that the government itself will not chip in.
Now you have total security. It's a whole different Venezuela. American companies will have the opportunity to rebuild Venezuela's rotting energy infrastructure and eventually increase oil production to levels never ever seen before.
Chevron, the last remaining major American oil firm still operating in the South American country, said it expected to boost output there by nearly 50% over the next 18 to 24 months. ExxonMobil, whose assets had been seized there twice, expressed caution, though.
If we look at the legal and commercial constructs and frameworks in place today in Venezuela, today it's uninvestable. And so significant changes have to be made to those commercial frameworks, the legal system.
Trump pledged to work with Caracas to provide security guarantees for foreign energy companies, but has offered no details, stressing that no U.S. troops will be deployed and promising firms they will not have to deal directly with the Venezuelan government. He also warned that if they refused to invest, he will simply turn to other partners. Bess Leung, Cable News.
Separately, Trump described Venezuelan interim President Delcy Rodriguez as a seeming ally, confirming that Washington has called off a planned second round of attacks on the country. Caracas, meanwhile, has initiated what it calls an exploratory diplomatic process with the U.S. It noted that the U.S. State Department has already dispatched diplomats to Venezuela, aiming at reopening the American embassy in Caracas, while Venezuela plans to send its own representatives to the U.S. In another development, a video shared by U.S. Homeland Security Secretary Kristi Noem appeared to show U.S. troops fast roping from helicopters onto the deck of Olina, a vessel sailing under Timor-Leste's flag in the Caribbean early Friday. U.S. President Donald Trump said the move was coordinated with the Venezuelan government and targeted a tanker that left Venezuelan waters without authorization. He said the confiscated oil will be sold, warning that tankers attempting to leave without approval will face similar action. Anti-government protests continued to rage in Iran even as authorities shut down the internet to curb the growing unrest. U.S. President Donald Trump repeated his warning to step in, but Iran called the protest a foreign plot and hinted at a harsher crackdown. Jamie Liu reports.
In capital Tehran, a mosque was engulfed in flames as a massive crowd gathered around the structure, chanting slogans. In the northwestern city of Zanjan, state television footage showed vehicles being set on fire and the scorched interiors of buildings. The protests were widespread, with someone displaying the flag linked to Iran's former monarchy, which was toppled in the 1979 Islamic Revolution. The protests began weeks ago over economic turmoil but have since spread in a movement that has piled pressure on the ruling regime. Beyond the violent crackdown that has turned deadly, authorities also blacked out the internet to curb the growing protests. The latest situation prompted Trump to issue a new threat to attack Iran if security forces kill protesters.
I've made the statement very strongly that if they start killing people like they have in the past, we will get involved. We'll be hitting them very hard where it hurts. And that doesn't mean boots on the ground, but it means hitting them very, very hard where it hurts.
Iran's supreme leader Ayatollah Ali Khamenei accused protesters of acting on behalf of Trump and damaging public property, vowing not to back down. A public prosecutor even threatened death sentences. France, Britain, and Germany strongly condemned the killing of protesters in Iran and urged Iranian authorities to exercise restraint. Jamie Liu, Cable News.
On to the weather now. It will be fine. The temperatures will range between 14 and 20 degrees. Very dry during the day. Moderate northeasterly winds. Easterlies will strengthen later tomorrow. That's our news tonight. I'm Cheryl Yun. Thanks for watching and good night.